Introducing an individual that I just want to welcome, a powerful and passionate wordsmith is the best way I can describe him, to the mic right now, who, aside from sharing his numerous talents in many venues around the state of Hawaii and around the country, also helps youth raise their voice and use their voice in powerful ways through his work with Youth Speaks Hawaii. So I'd really love to bring to the stage right now Mr. Darron Cambra.
Thank you, everyone. So some members of Youth Speaks Hawaii's mentorships here today to support and share some poetry with you. I'm going to start off with one of my poems and then bring up my boss. Hi, boss. So God's followers, his faith warriors, fighting for his message of love and righteousness. They were victorious once again, making sin and sacrament part of the state's commandments, and congregants and constituents shoved their public servants back into closets. HB 444, the bill, created and tried, came to be legitimately. It was born like that. Supreme Court had deemed it a necessity. Civil unions were meant to be, but this is a long journey, held up by a lingleberry. Lingleberry, noun, a political piece of crap that holds up the political process, closely related to the dingleberry. I know, I like that too. I watch the virtuous in their clan-colored garb, and I pray that there are more gods than just this one, because I want no part in this fate. The same that would stone Mary after being raped, I see no God in this kind of hate. Where two men in love are scorned, but a woman can walk down an aisle in unearned white with an unspoken sun-sitting shotgun. It will have the groom smile, but the best man's eyes, so who's screwing who? And this mob, with kettle-black tongues, spitting white lies to match their white t-shirts, covering pot bellies, guarding God's grace with gluttony. The shadows and stones cast make lawmakers afraid to speak, like Calvin Say forgot his last name, like they all forgot to say anything. So liberals, Democrats, this blue state, home of hope and change, away. We let it wither and die away. Like a tear-drenched engagement ring, rusted but never worn, and this reminds me of slavery, suffrage, reproductive rights, segregation. The separation of church and state from laws and debate were set upon this country by God-fearing slave owners, because they had seen power abused by other countries, like England and Rome and Egypt. And they just wanted to be different, because man has a tendency to make God in man's image and not the other way around. Would it disgust you to see two gods kiss? Marriage as a legal binding contract has nothing to do with your church or her temple or his prayer book. Marriage is a borrowed idea, like baptism. One of my favorite teachers, Gabe, brought his friend to the games, taught us about the world but couldn't tell us about himself. But at one time, history has taught me men hung from trees for kissing a person of another shade. Changing tradition is how history is made. A high school friend who's so uncomfortable with being himself that he now remains a mystery in the shadows of his own closet, built by walls of shame and careless names. And I can't help but think, at one time I was putting nails in his coffin, coughing coolness and future regret. My first girlfriend, who I had so much in common with, including similar taste in women. Her perfect partner now shares matching tear streaks and missing ring lines to the student in my class. The last one I let down by saying nothing. Homophobic phrases have no place in education. It teaches young minds to feel shame for what their hearts tell them. But gay rights are making strides. They're lifting the veil on don't ask, don't tell. So men and women can be themselves, losing their lives, fighting for rights they won't be allowed. Republican fathers get found time and time again in compromising positions with intern men, and Mrs. Edwards' cancer couldn't keep a donkey in a terminal marriage. And this state thinks that couples with even more in common than perfect opposites can't live up to the straight, shining example of sanctity and less than 50% accuracy of till death do us part. Thank you very much. My name is Darron Cambra. Please keep your applause going for Lyz Soto. Lyz Soto, Executive Director of Youth.
Thank you very much for having us. Danny was born on a cusp swung between two pinnacles, perfect and abandoned. His mother was ethereal, breathing oxygen like it was too heavy. She was beautiful and feminine fragile. His father wanted to be that way too. Fighting against genetic code that made him 6'5", reaching for skylines in stiletto stockings and silks, he was stunning standing in a Baptist-run school. But when I see Danny, hand in hand with his dad, I want to capture his smile in an infinity track, look back over and over so I can play it again and again, harmonizing hymns of happy when he is crying. He is fragile then. Even after eating 10 bananas in a single sitting, he looks breakable. But when Danny grins, he lights up. Not just his face, but every space in a radius of visual touching floor, walls, and skin. I promise, in minutes, he can make you happy just to see him. Even if he's got prescriptions rattling in his pockets, proclaiming him broken because he can't seem to sit still in anything measured longer than seconds, and he would rather deconstruct his pre-made box and be inside it. I remember his daddy was just like him. Rattling off physical thoughts when we were 10 like other boys did with football statistics, the universe spoke to him in a language he could understand. Unlike me, standing beside him. It was like I was tuned to the wrong frequency, but then maybe I was lucky. Because I grew up counting to 10 on my fingers, 20 to my toes, knew I liked boys when I was 12, didn't have to delve, dig deeper and wonder, was I born with the right body? Danny has a father who could have been his mother if this world could figure out a way to stop making mistakes. But how do I tell Danny life's missteps can sometimes make magic? But his father is gorgeous. Even for small town gossips grabbing at her back trying to make her look less large than life. How do I tell Danny his dad is courageous when her difference has made her son's life 1,000 times more difficult? But why should I even have to say this? Why do we judge as if we know better, perpetuating dark age spaces, places an 11-year-old boy has to live in, wondering around the next time he'll have to listen to a stranger call his father or him a freak or a faggot? Can you smell the smoke of wood bundles burning? Can you feel the heat of flames licking at the feet of everyone? Someone somewhere sees this different, because in some places being different can be deadly. So how can you live when the world says you shouldn't? So I'm asking, what do we think the earth would be like if we were all identical? I'm guessing it would look a lot less lovely. Without a girl talking out of silence, without a man making up his own religion, without a boy questioning everyone and everything, without a woman painting pictures, unlocking dreams. Without Danny stepping outside our box being free. Without his dad grabbing for skylines and silk stockings, short skirts and curls, and look at us, world. We are beautiful. Thank you. Please give your applause to David. David, please come up.
Aloha. Before I get started, I just want to say, I just moved here 2 months ago from Massachusetts to attend grad school. And having come from Massachusetts, where I'm not going to say the fight's been won, but we're on a better path, that it is possible, let's keep doing what we're doing. May your smile never be considered a threat. May your bones not break beneath an ignorant fist. May your sexuality never be the laughter in another man's mouth. I say this as a blessing because I cannot bring myself to curse a friend, no matter how ignorant, who still values my friendship. You see, my friend Nathan never needed to say the phrase, no homo. He outright says its meaning. The worst thing anyone could ever think about him is that he's gay. He says this to my face, never grasps how insulting the tilt in his voice adds to the meaning of his words. I am the worst thing my friend could be accused of being. Not murderer, not rapist, thief, liar, or racist, none of that, but a man who loves men. That is his worst. Years ago, I asked to drink from his water bottle. He refused. I thought nothing of this until months later he said it was because I'm gay. I couldn't understand why he'd tell me that, as if I'd be okay, as if I'd understand. And he has repeatedly said he doesn't get why I'm gay. He wants to know. My response doesn't change. I don't care or wonder why. The fact I exist as I do is wonderful enough. Yes, for me, being gay is wonderful. I accept who I am. I urge him to move from questioning to acceptance. And over the 8 years I've known him, he inches closer and closer to not caring about the why of who I am. Early on, he stated it made no sense for gay people to not have all the same rights as him, so I do see growth, but I don't always acknowledge it, because I will not congratulate someone for not insulting who I am. But he isn't static. He values my friendship, and in the end, I value his because of all its flaws and the way it changes. For this reason, I do not curse my friend, instead I bless him. May you find acceptance and love in friendship. May your heart always open up, your bones not break beneath an ignorant fist, your sexuality not be the laughter in another man's mouth, and may your smile never be considered a threat. Thank you.